Well, even when my husband and I were dating, we would be cooking in his parents' kitchen with them. And I would be prepping part of the meal, and we made it like a family event. So it made cooking like this fun thing to do with each other.
Brandy, we're doing it.
We're here.
We're doing it again. Okay. This mammoth spread is brought to us by Porterhouse. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know? I do want to interject. When I came up here to see my friend Mike, because he had moved here from Northern California, you know, everything was falling apart, and was like, okay, Mike moved up. He said it's great. He brought me over to Porterhouse, and he took me to Bodacious Pig and then Porterhouse, and walked me over along the river. I was like, this place is awesome, and here we are, full circle.
Oh my gosh, that makes my heart so happy. They are insanely amazing. Like, if you walk in there, you will literally get lost.
I'm not even going to plate the salad because I'm just.
Oh, you can't. So one of my favorite things that they've been doing, and they really love to do, is they get to know their customers. They make sure that if you are a regular, they're getting to know. Hi. They're getting to know what your order is, what you like, what you don't like. They want to make sure you are happy and you are left full. You are never hungry when you're leaving. One of my favorite things that they've been doing lately is they have these sandwich platters. So like, you're going to be an office hero if you bring these in, because seriously, this is called the gobbler. And it's like a turkey dinner in a sandwich.
That's like a Thanksgiving with like cranberry sauce?
Yeah, and then like an Italian. This is an Italian sandwich. This is a broccoli salad that has grapes in it and almonds. It's a sandwich. They have a platter of goodies, which, by the way, for any of your taste, there's like lemon bars and magic bars and strawberries and like this almost like a Boston cream square. Potato salad. That's a Greek salad that you're eating. And there's not an item on their menu that is not delicious. Yeah. Everything. Oh, and for those that don't necessarily want to get like something that's pre-made by them, they full on have refrigerators with fresh cut meats, and you can go in like a regular deli and order sides, or you could order your fresh salmon and Mary's chicken and all the different, you can basically one-stop shop it.
All right, I'm going to start eating.
Yes, okay.
Go.
What am I going to eat first? Okay.
I say go for the gobbler.
Okay, I'm going to go for the gobbler.
Okay, so I've had a love affair with the turkey, gobbler style sandwich. And the only person that I know that would do them year round was Togo's, right? So when I was a kid, I would go to Togo's after swim practice and get the turkey cranberry sandwich. And like, it kind of bummed it. You know, like the experience when you go somewhere and the person working there is not happy to be there. So like, I remember when I was like 15, like super excited. They had a hot pastrami, which I really liked, and they had the turkey and cranberry sauce, which I really liked. And I remember the last time I went there was this dude, this like teenager, like a little bit old, maybe like 18, like long face, long hair. I was like, oh, can I get the turkey and cranberry? And he was like, yeah. And he goes over and he has this ice cream scoop for the cranberry sauce. He's like, and it was so sad watching him go through his crummy minimum wage experience. I'm like, you just ruined this. Like, that was literally the last time I went to Togo's and purchased.
I feel like if you could taste this, it would be nostalgia for you.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sorry.
It looks good. It looks way better than Togo's.
Oh my God. You can't, because I'm pretty sure it's Gaston bakery bread. Yeah. Did you eat the macaroni? Yes, the potato salad.
Damn, that's good. I love good potato salad.
Okay, I'm going to try the Italian one now. Okay, ready?
Let's see it go. I think we need to cut the cameras and eat for like 20 minutes and then turn it back on.
I know, we're just going to be sitting here shoveling.
It's good. I'll talk about some. What was I going to talk about? I don't even know what I was going to talk about.
My order at Togo's, by the way, just to show how much my palate has expanded, was a turkey with provolone, mayo, lettuce, white bread. That was it. That was the extent of like what I was willing to eat. But I loved it.
That kind of gal.
I used to be.
You used to be.
Yeah. Now.
What is that? I don't understand what the like hyper picky girl thing is, because I've never met a dude that's like super picky.
Think about it?
No, because I remember some like 10-year-olds or 11-year-olds who'd be like, I'm only having Wonder Bread and like bologna, right? But not like a 16-year-old. There was this girl, Marin. I think her name was Marin, on the swim team. She was this tiny, tiny, tiny little thing, really fast swimmer, like ferocious girl. But she didn't eat meat and she didn't eat vegetables. All right. So like wrap your head around that. No meat, no veggies. And so like,
what does she eat?
Right. So we go to McDonald's because that was back in the day of the 29-cent hamburgers.
Yeah.
So we go to McDonald's after swim practice on like a Friday. Tuesday was cheeseburgers, but Friday was hamburgers.
Yeah.
And Marin would just get French fries. She'd just get a dump truck of French fries and she would eat the French fries with like ketchup.
But that's a veggie.
I don't know, but she wouldn't eat
not from
greens.
McDonald's, Aaron.
She wouldn't eat greens. She wouldn't eat like.
Which is so odd to think that she was like.
But she also wouldn't eat meat. And she was this stick of a girl, and she was ferocious. She was a 500 freestyle swimmer, and she had these tiny little arms that were like windmills. And you're like, she's not going to be able to keep that up for more than like a lap or two. And then 15 laps later, she's still like a ball of fire going down the lane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was
I wonder
awesome.
if she ate like a lot of tofu or other things, or like beans or things that were really protein packed. Maybe?
I mean, she had to eat something. Yeah.
Candy bars? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. She was an interesting cat. It's interesting to me considering who people were in high school and like how they changed. So what drew you out of your pickiness into what you are now? Like, was there an event or did you just start having really, really good food? Like, I have a friend whose wife, she's like, I don't like food. I'm like, what the hell?
My brother-in-law is kind of like that. He used to eat just because he had to eat.
What?
So like he would eat what's there. He's very particular, but he eats very clean and healthy, like fresh meat. And he goes and gets lots of vegetables and fruits and things and does like very cognizant of it. I think for me, it was when I got married, I have access to this huge kitchen. Well, even when my husband and I were dating, we would be cooking in his parents' kitchen with them. And I would be prepping part of the meal, and we made it like a family event. So it made cooking like this fun thing to do with each other. And even like now, my husband and I will be in the kitchen together and our kids are in the kitchen with us. Like we actually did like a Passover dinner. It's kind of funny. We just basically had friends come over.
That's great.
And it was a really fun event because I got to make fun things. And so Vinny was in charge of all of the chocolate cookies. And my little guy was in charge of his dairy-free ice cream.
Yes.
And so all of us are in there making it this fun experience. So I think the experience of cooking made experimenting with flavors more enjoyable.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You did. I think that's an astute point, which is if you remove cooking and the act of sharing food from a social engagement and it becomes purely utility.
Yes.
Some people dissolve into like, well, I just want the most basic thing ever. Like, I don't really care. Man, did I tell you about what I made this last weekend?
No.
Oh my gosh. So we took all tech away from our kids.
Right.
Like 4 months ago, right? Like, and I mean,
Totally.
all of it. Like we had a original or a Super Nintendo that was upstairs, like Mario Kart. So even normal games, I started realizing like, this is not good. It's
not necessary.
It's not necessary. And more than that, I have 3 boys. They were constantly fighting. It was constant.
Yours too?
Even if one of them was playing Mario Kart, the others were complaining about this other game they wanted to play. Like it was constant. Anyway, so one of the things that my son said is he's like, when I told him, I was like, look, it's over. Like party's over. Games are gone. TV remotes are gone.
Okay.
Like it's over. But if I took all of this away and you could never do this again, what would you want to fill that time with? And he actually very thoughtfully, he came up with a couple things and one of them was cooking. He's like, I would really like to learn how to cook.
Cool.
Like, done, son. Anyway, so this last weekend, I went super hard and made a 4-layer chocolate cake. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Look at this bad boy.
That looks divine. And it's gluten-free.
And it was gluten-free.
So it's very surprising to see that it's probably super moist and it actually looks like it held its pillow wing.
Yes.
Wow.
And I did a lot of frosting. And then in between the layers, I also did frosting with chocolate chips. So it was 4 layers. And they were like, this is the best thing ever.
And I think there's this different layer of joy that comes with eating when you know you've worked on that and you've gotten to do a portion of it. So right alongside, we must have been like in the same realm because my stepdad's birthday was on Sunday. So we had dinner and like one of his favorite requests for me is always conchas. Because you can't get like a good, clean, healthy concha. In Idaho, everything has...
I don't know what a concha is.
Okay, so Mexican sweetbread.
There we go.
You're Mexican. Okay, you call yourself Mexican, and then you don't know what
I'm a good Mexican. I'm one of the bad ones.
But you're going to dress up as a mariachi.
That's because I play trumpet.
Oh, well,
there you go.
Okay, that's another excuse.
There it is.
Okay, so...
And I'm not appropriating anyone because I am Mexican.
You are. You have that Hispanic culture and you are embracing it.
I just need to grow my mustache. Keep going. A concha.
Okay, so conchas are a type of Mexican sweetbread. It is a very pillowy, fluffy sweetbread, and then it has like I it's not a paste, but like you roll it out and there's this little paste that goes on top and you cut it to look almost like a seashell, which is why it's called a concha. And I have been trying to experiment with different flavors and combinations. And I can't call it Cherry Garcia because it's not really Cherry Garcia, but I made a Cherry Garcia concha. And so I added those expensive Amarino cherries, like chunked them up, added the juice to the actual like bread itself and a little juice to the chocolate topping that we put on. I have died. I have eaten probably 5 of them myself.
God, that sounds delicious.
They were like the best thing with the coffee. So I'm going to, like, my next goal for you is I'm going to try to make a gluten-free concha.
Oh my God, yes, please.
That is my plan.
That would be incredible.
It's going to probably take a couple rounds.
That's
You're going to
okay.
trial it, but I'm going to try to make one. So we will see where that goes.
Has Gaston ever gotten back to us about getting some kind of like spittoon style croissant?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
like, can we
Gaston,
just get some kind of some kind of pastry that we can get in here that I can like break apart and smell it and like pretend I'm eating it?
I'm going to have to check. They might have a gluten-free option of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't think the bread they do, but I want to say in their pastries, they might have an option like a cookie or something along those lines.
You know who does have a really good gluten-free thing? God, it's Guru. If only they were members.
Hey, they've reached out. I love Guru. And you know what? At this point in time, you and your jokes will go down in fire. I love Guru. We actually went the other day. We took my mother-in-law and
Did they tell you to bring your camera? Brandy.
No, stop it. That is not even how
Can
it
you
went
bring
down,
Sharon
Matt.
too?
Can you bring Sharon too? Oh,
I interviewed Sharon Ullman yesterday.
Oh, from Innovate?
No,
Wait,
no,
who
that's Dr. Gillespie.
Yes.
Sharon Ullman is running for county commissioner.
Okay.
And I felt so bad because I hadn't reached out to her when we had our last episode about like pick up Sharon. And then I picked her up and like, hi, Sharon. It's like, damn it, man.
You need to pick a different name next
right.
time.
Well, I can't do Karen. Karen's played out. Sharon is just so much better. It's like, hey, Sharon.
Well, it rhymes with Karen. Karen, Sharon.
That's true.
It does.
Generally,
it
it's an
just
LM.
flows.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying something. Oh, Guru.
No,
You went to Guru.
It was right before they closed. And normally, like, I don't buy a ton of donuts because my kids, we kind of limit sugar and what they eat and like, but knowing that it's clean, like that was our fun little, and I also
you gotta have a vice.
I also had to bribe my kids to leave the house. So I was like, we're going to get a donut if we do this. And they're like, cool, we'll go with you.
I'm in, Mom.
So we brought my mother-in-law and we're actually going on a family vacation this summer to Tennessee and Kentucky to do a bunch of sightseeing, like as a big family, like my in-laws, my brother-in-law, all of our family. Yeah, it's going to be bomb. We're excited.
Can I ask you something real fast? Do you think there's a resurgence of appreciation for middle America?
Oh, yes.
Like there's a, my dad was telling me, and he grew up in Southern California in the 50s. And he's like, listen, those used to be flyover states, right? Like everybody wanted to come to California. And he was saying in the 50s and 60s, California really was everything you wanted. It was like Chevrolet. It was the Beach Boys. It was a great economy. There was great aeronautical industry there. They had, the Hollywood there. They had everything. The beaches weren't disgusting and gross. They weren't like just giant dog doo-doo parks, like all of these things. And he said it really was great. And you always wanted to get out of the middle of America. And now we've had this genuine flip where people realize, hey, Kentucky's beautiful, right? Like, I mean, Idaho is beautiful. And all the places that were the go-to spots, people are fleeing from. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, I have a good friend who moved to northern Nevada, and he lives in like the high desert, and he sends me pictures. I'm like, that's gorgeous. And he has a beautiful house, and he enjoys his life very much, and he still works and engages in his community. He's like, why do I need to live in California? Yeah, like we're not close to the beach, but I didn't go to the beach anyway. Like the number of people, like the San Francisco Bay Area has beaches, but they're cold.
Yep.
And like, this is not a bikini beach. This is like a wetsuit. You're going to get killed in the Riptide Beach.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And even when we would go to we went to the beach a few times in college, it's like, there are 100 people there. Yeah. So it's like, you have like 5 million people living in the area, and you go to a beach and it's like, a couple dozen. So it's just the draw towards that. I think it kind of betrayed the reality of your life, which is you can live close to this, But one, you're not going to have the time to engage in it. And two, if you do engage in this, it's not going to be what you think.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know, the middle America, like going on trips was like, let's go to Kentucky or let's go somewhere else. Like you're like the second or third person who's mentioned this kind of stuff.
Well, and we are kind of in this mode of, we have been jaded by California for so long. Not to say California wasn't beautiful and didn't have these beautiful things, as we talked about before. The lavender, remember when you were on that run?
Yeah, on Mount Diablo.
It's one of those things of, our friends actually asked us when we were moving, what's out there other than potatoes? And we had to like, you have no idea. We have waterfalls and hot springs and rivers and lakes and skiing and hiking. Like everything that we had at home was here.
Right.
So the transition was so easy.
Oh, and more. Idaho has like the largest river system in the country.
And it's more convenient to get to. Right. We would have to drive in traffic probably an hour to the beach. It was hour to the beach, hour to the mountains.
Right.
We are butt up against the foothills here. We are hop and skip and a jump away from being able to go river rafting. That's crazy.
Right.
So to think we've been so jaded about what Idaho had to offer, imagine what all these beautiful states have. My cousin moved to Mississippi, of all places, and she loves it there. And I could never see her moving back.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to think that there's so many hidden gems, so many parts of the country? Well, the only place that I'm leery of is like the Ozarks.
No, I actually was like,
forgive me, Oklahoma, but the Ozarks really freak me out.
Why?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we went on a road trip when I was little. We were like 6th grade. My mom's like, cool, let's go on a family vacation and we're going to drive cross country. We're going to go to Washington, D.C. for a trip. And I was like, okay. And mind you, it's before technology. So I was 12. My brother was maybe 8. My mom packed all of our clothes. She color coordinated us for everyone. I will send you a picture. There was red day and blue day, and there was all these things. But we stopped. Don't even get there. Don't even go there. There's pictures of us in the Atlantic Ocean, like in Atlantic City. We went all the way across and back, listening to the Jackson 5.
Oh,
I'm not joking.
God.
I'm going out to Indiana because Indiana's where I'm from. Plays in my head rent-free about twice a month. It does. Rest in peace, Michael Jackson. But like, I remember sitting in, we called her Old Bessie, and she was our motorhome. My stepdad, and he's my stepdad now. He got it in every state we went to. He got one of the really cool stickers. He put it on the back window. So every state we passed, we had another sticker on the RV. And it was one of the best experiences as a kid that I can remember. So like, I want to give that to my kids. I want them to be able to say, oh my gosh, I remember when we went to Knoxville and Nashville and we hit that, we love to antique and thrift. Like, we just love finding these gems in the wild. And my sons love it. So that's our goal, is to find the most unique thing we can find in every state we go to.
God, that's so cool. Okay, I have 2 road trip experiences. One, my dad gets remarried when I'm in 6th grade. They go on a honeymoon.
They're the ones that lived in Alaska, right?
Yeah, and they recently moved here. So they're living in California at this time. I'm in 6th grade. He gets married, and they go on a honeymoon. Good for them. And my stepmom's parents, Art and Louise from Montana, who live in like Glasgow, Montana.
With the margarine.
Yes. Yes. I had never seen margarine before. I was like, what is this magic?
When you said that, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was great. So Art and Louise come and grab us, and they're super cool, right? And they're like classic good people, like salt of the earth Montana people. And initially we were like, what are we going to do with Art and Louise? Because I'm in 6th grade. My sister's in 7th grade. My brother's like a sophomore in high school. He's a pain in the ass. But anyway, so Art and Louise pull up with their RV. Okay. And Art worked as a game warden for a Montana Fish and Game like his entire career. And Louise was a teacher. Anyway, so the point is, Art and Louise pick us up and they're like, we're driving to Montana. So we start driving in this RV that's old school style that was their dream when they retire. And it was the most baller thing ever, because all of a sudden Art's parking us places and taking me on these hikes. He's like, you see this mark in this tree? This means blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what?
Aww.
Like, I've never even, and he's like, okay, we got to start a fire. We got to go get firewood. I'm like from the RV. He's like, and he gets an axe. He's like, no, come on. Like, you see You like those 4 trees, the one right there? And I was like, yeah. He's like, we're going to go chop that. So like we cut down these trees. He's showing me how to make a fire. He's like teaching me how to fish. So
How
art.
cool.
And I love this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is incredible. Like, this is the best thing ever. Meanwhile, my dad, love my dad. He's not a fisherman. He's not a chop down a tree kind of guy. So it was this genuine, like all-American road trip across the country. We went through Yellowstone, saw the buffalo, the heart. So Art actually had to shoot a buffalo that had wandered off of Yellowstone, and they couldn't easily get the buffalo back. So they're like, you're going to have to take this buffalo out because it's going to hurt like people.
Yeah.
Right. So he had to like get some buffalo gun, right? Like, what do you shoot a buffalo? Like, it's like an elephant gun.
I'm sorry, you just said a buffalo gun.
Right. Well, like, imagine a
difference?
buffalo. Oh,
In like the caliber of weapon, I'm assuming.
I think it is my understanding that it was a giant slug, and they just had to take out this big old buffalo. So that was one. And I was like, road trips are the best. That was me in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt in 8th grade, my dad says, hey, my dad went and did a fellowship. He was a surgeon. He's like, I really want to be a hand surgeon. So he's a general surgeon, cut your, abdomen open kind of guy. He's like, I want to be a hand specialist. So he's like, I'm going to do a hand fellowship. I know, right? I'm going to be doing a hand fellowship in Florida. So he's like, we'll drive to Florida. So we get in the car. This is not an RV trip with Art though. This is my dad packing us in to his 1992 Toyota Camry. There are 5 of us. It's a 5-seater, okay? Because it wasn't enough to bring me, my brother, and my sister. We had to bring my sister's friend, Andrea. I hate you, Andrea. Anyway, so she's like sitting there. Yeah, no, she's not whatever. She's not a great person. I think last I heard she was hooked on meth. It's not a great situation. The point is we were in like.
You need to be hooked on phonics, not hooked on meth.
Funny you say that. So my dad's plan, he's like, we're going to have a lot of time in the car. I'm like, yeah, are we going to like. Are there like national parks? Like, are we going to go camping? What are we going to? No. My dad brought the level 1, 2, and 3 of consulate Spanish, cassette tapes that are used to teach like ambassadors a foreign language and immersion really fast. So all of a sudden we start down the freeway. I'm like, this is going to be so great. And he puts in like cassette 1, Donde Hell Hotel, whatever the hotel.
Hotel.
I didn't learn anything obvious. So now I'm driving through I was like, what is happening? Where's our luggage? Thank you for asking. It's strapped to a bike rack on the back of the Camry. Now listen, I was like, we're putting it on. What are we doing? And he's like, just hook your thing here. I was like, what? So there's like all of our luggage.
Can Art take us?
Can Art take us? But as we're going through, you got to realize this is summertime. We're going through like the South during summer. So every day at noon, it starts pouring rain. And I'm like, my luggage. And I hear like, ¿Dónde está? Like,
poor little Matt staring out the window with the raindrops. My comic book collection.
And the last piece was my brother's learning how. My brother's not a good driver, and he's just like he doesn't understand spatial. He doesn't have spatial awareness.
Okay.
So he's learning how to drive. This is a stick. There are 5 of us in it. We're listening to Spanish tapes. The luggage is falling off the back. It's pouring rain. I mean, like 2 feet visibility, and he's flipping out. And my dad's screaming at him about it. I was like, this is it. I've had a good run. I've never seen Paris, but whatever. So I'm kind of 50-50 on road trips. There's to that.
So that's the reason you're 50-50 on road trips now.
50-50. Like it could be good, but it could be real bad.
Oh my gosh. I'm just picturing you in the window and your like comic book collection slowly seeping in water in your like duffel bag that you threw.
It literally was like a swim bag that I just stuffed with like socks and underwear and like, here we go.
Well, yeah, because you're in 8th grade.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You were probably lucky to have a toothbrush in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't think I had one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This last week,
do you want to drop some of this LaCroix in your drink?
Yes,
by the way,
please.
it's super tasty to add in.
Thank you.
You were saying last week?
It's been like a crazy week since we last filmed.
Yes.
There was this for Innovation and Creativity Day, Brick and Minifig, actually in Boise, technically, they hosted a contest for kids, anybody. So they had like a 0 to 8, 9 to 15, and a 16 to whatever age.
Wait, I don't understand what you're
They
saying.
did a contest.
What's Brick and Minifig?
So it's like a Lego store. So my son,
right.
shout out Vinny, he is obsessed with Lego. Like,
love Legos. Okay,
we
great.
literally built Legos for 3.5 hours this morning.
Awesome.
That was our goal today, was to spend time just building out the city that we're building together. So,
if I may ask, are you one of the people that buys the box sets with instructions, or are you the person that goes to the garage sale and gets like the metric ton of mismatched Legos?
Both.
You got to do both.
You got to do both.
You got to do both.
Because it's nice to have like these beautiful, like curated
like, look,
sets.
this is Yoda.
Display, or like use
whatever.
it in fun things. But we are currently right now building out, my son's building the houses. We are building an outdoor movie theater with little chairs, and there's going to have like a little food truck. And then I'm building this parking garage currently. And then my other son is building a car wash. So he wants to be able to do a car wash while people are watching the movies.
That's a great idea, by the way.
This is what we love to do together. And he entered the contest because he is 8, and he won first place.
Oh my God.
Like, zero help from me. He was like, Mom, what about this? And I was like, I can give advice. I cannot touch.
Can I get a picture of this? Oh my God. Congratulations.
It will be up in just a moment. He was like, oh, they put up the winners at 5:00, Mom. It's 7. Can we look?
And you're like, yeah, kid, let me
And in my head, I'm thinking, if you don't win, you're going to be crushed. My heart's going to be bruised. Like, we're going to have a great conversation. Like, I'm planning in my head of how are we going to go about this if he doesn't win.
You tried hard, son.
You did great. That was amazing. I'm so proud of you. You worked really, like you were, he used these ice cream or like whipped topping ones as puffs of smoke on the top of the chimney.
Oh, yeah.
He used the guy's little size as candlesticks on the table. And he put a baby in the little girl's arms because it's his wife. And there was a full-on garden build out. Like,
let's see this.
I was like, this is kind of impressive. So that's his new flex. And
that's his new flex.
It totally is. And he's like, can you tell
Mom.
Mr. Matt about this?
He actually has?
He did. He told me.
Oh my God.
Okay. This is the beautiful creation.
Oh, hell yes.
I was
look
so
at that
excited.
Garden.
And he got to display it for the month of May at Bricks and Minifig. So shout out to them because they made like this core memory.
A little boy's dream come true. His placement is on point.
His goal, I think, is to become like a brick master and create
this
sets.
Wasn't a set? He made this up?
This is all from his bricks that he has at home.
Oh my God, this guy has actual, I don't think I could have made something that detailed.
At his age, the only thing I wanted to build was houses with bathrooms and beds, and they didn't have the shapes that I needed, so everything was very blocky.
Dude, shout out Ninjago. That's who those characters are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So he titled it Jay's Future, because Jay likes Naya.
Yeah, Naya, who turns blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he likes her in the show.
Yeah.
So this was their life when they get married with their baby, and she's carrying a little baby. And I was like, I'm going to cry. That's the sweetest thing ever. So yeah, shout out to them. It's been like he won on Sunday. It's been this wonderful high. He got a $25 gift card from them for winning. So, and it was like a $5 entry.
Dude, one of my first podcasts was about Ninjago.
Was it?
Yeah, because we watched I presume you've seen the entire series, yeah?
Yes.
Like all 400 episodes.
They're coming. They just came out with more.
Oh my God, I'm going to have to watch it.
I know.
Like they went so deep with those
storylines.
With this, yes, Master Wu. Like the stuff that, because we would watch it with our kids and I really, I love Legos and I love ninja stuff and, whatever. But I would watch them like, damn, dude, they kept going. And they, Master Wu had some
Garmadon story and Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Oh, I love in the movie when he's like, who's calling me? It's your son. A son?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, but they're Ninjago really hit it hard. They had real meaningful nuggets.
Yes.
There was one time when I can't remember exactly what the episode. Of course, I can't remember the exact episode, but Master Wu had to essentially sacrifice himself to go back in time for something. And I can't remember exactly what was happening, but right before he does it, one of the ninjas is like, Master Wu, you can't do this. If you do this, you're gonna all these things are happening. He's like, that's a problem for tomorrow. I have today's problems to solve.
Yes.
Right. And so he's just going through this crisis moment and triaging. It's like, yes, that is an issue, but I have this issue and I'm not going to get held up from resolving this issue that I have right now, thinking about the future. And like he throws himself into the time pit or something.
Exactly. And it kind of, not the biggest Disney person. I used to be. I used to work there for years.
Everybody used to be a Disney person.
Yes.
Everybody.
So in the last Frozen movie, because
wait. Who do you think the first trans Disney princess is going to be? You know it's coming. You know it's coming. Don't lie to me, Brandy.
We have stopped watching their movies.
Come on.
I don't know. I have to preview everything before I will allow anybody to watch it now. That's how it's gotten. We run a very protective household.
I don't think you have to be that protective to screen Disney stuff at this point. I think that's pretty standard fare.
Okay. They do have one thing that stood out to me outside of like the whole ants. I told you the ants thing where it's like, if they allow one of them to stand up to us, we're outnumbered.
Yeah,
we're powerless.
Yeah.
That whole theory, like to me, I was like, well, it's obvious that that's what our life is currently like.
Right.
But I always think of the last Frozen movie where she goes, I got to do the next right thing. That's all I can focus on today. I can be overwhelmed by what's happening, or I can do the next right thing.
Right.
And it was, yes, it may hurt her home of Arendelle, but she has to take down that bridge because otherwise she's going to lose her sister. Otherwise she's going to lose all these things. She had to make these really hard decisions, but all she needed to focus on was the next right thing in her path. Instead of getting when you talked about Master Wu, that's what immediately came to mind.
Right.
And like, how often as adults do we just go and allow ourselves to be overwhelmed with what's going on instead of going, okay, what is the next right thing?
But like we were, even before we hit the cameras, like we were both talking about how that's like the majority of my day. It's like, okay, I have no idea, but like I'm just going to keep whacking away and hacking away at this list. I'm going to keep making these calls. I'm going to keep doing this video. I'm going to keep doing whatever. I don't know what the right thing. I'm just going to do the next right thing. This next crisis. I'm going to deal with this next. What's happening next week? I have no idea what's happening tonight.
And as a society, we don't think about that though. We don't pose that to people. It's easier for our society to go, well, you're overwhelmed. That's your problem. You deal with that. Versus don't allow it to overwhelm you, because that will not solve your problem. That will not help you get to the next place you want to be in life. Attack the thing you can attack, and you got to let the rest go. I'm not very good at that.
No, I got you. You eat. I think that there's a larger issue. So the Abigail Shriver, who wrote a recent book, and I listened to an interview with her on Rogan recently, which I really enjoyed. And she was talking about, I think, what was it called? The Anxious Generation, or I can't remember what her book was called. But the point is, incredible author. And again, haven't read the book, but the point of the book is, look, the more therapy in general you give young people, the worse they're going to feel. Like this generation of teens and 20s are the most taken care of. They're the most, psycho aware. They're the most.
Yep. We didn't talk about this kind of stuff when I was kids.
No, it was like, look, you just deal with it. Right? Like if somebody asked me midday as I'm grinding through Oblivion, it's the LaCroix's a good app. Yeah. If somebody asked me midday as I'm grinding through all the stuff I'm doing, they're like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel like I'm drinking from a goddamn fire hose. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to swear. Sorry, your grandma. What's your grandma's name?
Sarah.
Sorry, Sarah. Anyway, I'm not going to report that I'm happy.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to tell you that I'm like, oh, this is so fulfilling. I'm like, this is a train wreck, but I'm going to keep going forward. I had a really weird end of the last week, and you and I connected briefly. It's like, let's do another one next week.
Yeah.
It was just, you have those weeks like, and I even knew now as a 42-year-old, I'm like, oh, I'm in that spot. Like, this is terrible. Just keep showing up, whatever. In like 5 days, you'll be fine. Right. And it took 6 days, but like, I'm still fine.
It took me crying last night, like laying on my floor, just letting myself cry for a few minutes. And I was like, okay, you can get up. You can do this. And then I woke up in the morning. I felt a lot better. Took a few hours.
Can we discuss the popularization of the ugly cry? Like ugly crying didn't exist, or the face down, the face plant. Did you ever see that movie Inside Out?
Yes.
Yeah. So sadness always face plants, face not to her side, face down. Yeah. Right. So it's like the ugly cry, and then like arms straight, just boom, like planking on the floor.
And then she's like sobbing like this. And Joy is like, all right, sadness, we don't have time for this.
Oh my God. I know. We watched that movie again this weekend. It just hits so hard.
I watch it And I'm just like, the thoughtfulness. And then the fact that the second movie's coming out and they're adding different emotions. Because
like
as
anxiety.
I was like, I can't wait to see this. As an adult, I'm like,
did you see the preview?
We did.
Yeah.
We went and saw
too.
Kung Fu Panda
nice.
for my birthday because apparently my sons told me that's what I had to do for my birthday. Which my amazing in-laws, they actually met us at the movie theater and watched the movie with us.
That's awesome.
Like, shout out to them. They
shout out.
Great people. And they did the preview for the new Inside Out movie. And all of us were like, this is going to be amazing.
This is going to be great.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, they had, I found those movies are really insightful. Like, I do appreciate them. And I appreciate that Pixar has steered away from being preachy.
Yes.
You know, like they have not gone the way of Disney and been like, we should tell people. What's humorous is all of their movies are like, what if cars had feelings? What if planes had feelings? What if feelings?
Toys?
What if feelings had feelings?
Yep.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Did you ever watch the end of the movie of Inside Out where it's the inside the brain of like the dog and the cat? And it was the same feelings, but they were the versions of cats and dogs.
Yes.
I loved that section, like the epitome of that. And then it was the boy and everybody, like all the emotions are skateboarding in his brain.
I loved the honesty in that movie came from when you saw the mom's brain.
Yes.
And she just hates the husband. And then he does like one little thing. She's like,
Aww.
he's a good guy.
Well, and then
they
validating
go,
it back to each other. Like, he really is a good guy.
He's a good guy.
We should be nicer to him.
I hate that though. I hate that makes my damn blood boil.
Did you ever see the short?
I don't
Where
know.
the husband's like, let's give her the look. And then he like gives her like the sultry look. And then the mom's brain's like, he's giving the look again, the dumb look. Well, he's just so sweet. And then they smile back. And then they like, I think they kiss or something. But it was like, that's kind of where it ended was he's giving us that goofy look again. It's the husband's trying to like seduce her.
I know. I hate the whole dynamic. I can't like, I hate the dynamic of guys apologizing for their existence.
There's no reason to.
But that's the depiction in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All of the people in her head. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's off doing he has agency over his own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And well, fine, you want to poo-poo on him and just say that like he zoned out for a minute, which we all do. Yep. Like, okay, he zones out. Okay. She, the mom, is trying to like talk to the daughter and like work through whatever, right? And then calls on the husband instantaneously and was like, you should have been tracking. The assumption is like, you should have been tracking this entire conversation.
Yeah.
How dare you check out in your own head for a minute, right? So then she's like, hey, right? And they're like, give him the look. And then he's like, oh no, she's giving me the look.
What did we miss? What did we miss?
He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she's mad that he is not tracking what's going on. He acts perhaps in error or in redundancy or whatever. Then she's mad at him for not acting correctly. At no point are you looking in the dad's head and he's like, she's such an idiot. Like, I hate her.
I think I would have appreciated that situation had Riley gone to bed and they had a quick like snippet of a conversation of, hey, I really wish you would have been seeing what was happening at the table. You know, it made me feel like you weren't paying attention. Just showing how like a proper communication could have been happening. Instead, like, but I feel like Disney does this. Disney kills off a parent.
Yes.
They make the other parent dumb.
Right.
They make everybody who is an adult figure in their life sound like a nincompoop. And then the kids just kind of run free and wild and do their thing. Unless you're King Triton. Because I feel like King Triton in Ariel,
like
Little Mermaid.
No,
King Triton was like this.
No, but then he became.
But he at the end
he was so naive he became infantilized. He became like that little diminutive. He sacrificed himself and became powerless, and then it was up to the kids to like redeem their error. Right? Don't you remember when the sea witch Ursula actually reduces him down to like this little sponge thing?
Yes.
And then it's up to the children to redeem themselves and beat the bad guy that beat the dad.
But I think where my brain goes to is the end when he sees her become this person she's supposed to be, and he gives her his blessing and he shows his support and kind of shows that he has a change of heart with all that. Right. Yes, I don't like the other part of that, but I feel like he's one of the only characters they do it with.
Well, you also see that in Moana, right? Because the dad doesn't agree. She escapes. She comes back at the end and he's like, this suits you. And then The
Well,
last
she
scene
had to
is
save
her.
the world for that to. Well, then again, I guess they all have to kind of save the world for that to happen, right?
Yeah, I don't think
Ariel saved her own world. Moana saved her world. Cinderella
Look,
saved hers.
it's tough, okay? I've thought about Disney a lot over the last 15 years because where were you when you first conceptualized the idea of courage or bravery, right? Like we pre-movies, we like 1800, 1700, back when we were tribes, we would have relied on our elders to relate cultural wisdom that would have then helped us understand our place and our capacity within a tribe. We don't have that.
They destroyed the village intentionally.
That's right.
Because
and
you're dependent now on the government or other people, other societies to tell you what your place and what your value is.
It's entirely possible. Some people are. I'm not. You're not dependent on other people. Right. So I think there are some people that do that. But Disney really, with the killing of cultural legacy stories, we needed something to like fill in the gap. Right. And that kind of became Disney. Right. So when my oldest son saw Moana, I watched it first. So I was like, I've heard a lot about it. It was years and years old by the time I watched it. But I watched it, I was like, this is a really good movie.
See, and then I think I was working at Disney when all of that was happening. So I got to see some of those movies like when they were coming out. So, and I
was in my late 20s. I'm like, I'm not watching. Moana came out when I was like 29, 30 or something. It was a while ago.
Like a 10 spot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I got old.
It's been a while.
Old.
So I saw it. Then my wife saw it. She's like, "Oh, that's a good movie." Right. And we were watching it as adults. And so then we showed it to my son, and my oldest, got so empowered and like flipped out by this movie. And he was running around school. I remember him. He was in like kindergarten. And he was like, am I running as fast as Moana? Like, am I doing this? And of course, I'm like, dude, hell yeah. You saw this character that is heroic, that is courageous, that you want to emulate. I was like, hell yeah, that's great. Yep. And of course, my liberal feminist neighbors like, yeah, he values a girl. I'm like, get the hell out of here. It's not about a guy or a girl. It's about this person who embodies, honorable sentiment and displays virtue. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. But that's when I realized, I'm like, oh, I missed the mark. He's dying to hear stories of heroic efforts. And I never told him any. And so it took to Moana for him to see this thing where it's like, oh my God, this gets my like heart pumping. This gets my blood flowing. Yeah. And it's like, I should have been doing that. I should have been telling him these stories when he's 3 and 4. So I actually started telling my son stories, nighttime stories of Disney movies. And I'd like fib them a little bit. Yeah. Because I didn't have them all memorized, but I would start telling the storylines. I
didn't know Ariel went to a coffee shop.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
She got an espresso?
Right.
I want an espresso now.
But Disney did such a good job of distilling down archetypes and then giving a broader story arc and representation to those virtues that was like, oh, I just need to do this. The characters can be anything. They just need to do these things, right? Like look at The Lion King, look at Moana, look at Little Mermaid, whatever it is, right? And you see this in other cultures. For instance, 47 Ronin. Right. It doesn't matter. Keanu Reeves movie, not a great movie. The book was better, but it is based on an old Japanese fable about this guy who was a Ronin is somebody who's a masterless samurai. Right. So they're.
Oh, yes. Okay. Right. I do know what movie it is. Right. But I've never seen it personally.
Totally fine. Yes. It's not a great movie. But the point is if you look it up, the 47 Ronin movie is based on a legend in Japanese culture. And there's conflict, right? Because these guys are the samurai for I can't remember what the leader of the village is called. They have a very specific word for it, but maybe it's like the shogun or something. I'm not sure. But the point is their master gets unceremoniously and unfairly executed. He gets forced to commit suicide, right? And they know it's wrong. And the people that betray their master then throw them into like these dungeness pits and excommunicate them to essentially break them up and be like, don't ever try to come after us. You'll be banished, whatever. So they, of course, reformulate, they collect themselves and they go and they seek revenge successfully. And then at the end of the movie, they have to commit suicide because they did in fact break the law, but they commit suicide honorably because they redeemed and avenged. So that's a very complex story because they went against established law in seeking revenge. But the principle of seeking revenge honored them enough that even though they were technically criminals, they were still honored in the end and allowed to commit, honorable suicide.
Right.
Those are complex things, right? And you see this idea of breaking the rules in an honorable fashion play out in Harry Potter, right? Because Hermione's a rule follower and Harry's always breaking the rules. Like, you see it play out everywhere. And it's something that we know culturally. It's like, yes, we need to recognize that laws and rules are important, but to the degree that the rules and implementation of those rules are poorly rolled out or deliver injustices that are intolerable, you're allowed to break the rule.
Right.
Right? Which is true. Right? Like, that's, these are social objections that we recognize.
I have a feeling that, so my first thought was, I feel like the generation prior, it was all about reading. It was all about reading about these stories and getting education, because obviously they didn't have television.
Right.
They didn't have movies like we do to just fall back on for these things. I feel like they would have read these novels and these stories or heard these stories from their parents being told. And that's where they would have established it without their own village necessarily.
Yes.
I think for me, I think back to my grandmother, because my grandmother's always told me stories of how she grew up. And I always think through like the hardship and the life, but the lessons that she learned. And those are lessons that she wanted to impart on me. So I think it's like not necessarily a matriarchy or a patriarchy sharing those stories, but I feel like those are the kinds of stories that's how we got that maybe in our generation, is imparting of knowledge and wisdom and heritage in that fashion of knowing your place and knowing what perseverance looks like, because this is what your heritage is. This is what your grandparents, your great grandparents did. And it was just neat because like my great grandfather was a coal miner in a little tiny town in New Mexico. And my great grandmother had always fed everybody. She had like a food business and she would make tamales and burritos. And it's so interesting to hear my grandmother speak about them, and to whether you believe it, like whether people believe it or not, it seems as though so many of those hereditary traits get passed down from generations, and how much I'm like my great grandmother in some of the ways that I persevere, or in the ways that I go about doing business or entrepreneurship or what have you. It makes you feel like you can do it when you hear stories of others that have done it. So to hear stories of your own family doing it, you're like, oh, heck yeah, I can do that.
That's the thing. I get really worried. Like, I don't know that I could do that. Like,
really?
I don't know that I'm that strong. Like my dad went to Vietnam when he was 18.
I know.
And flew helicopters. Like, I went to Berkeley and rode. Now, like, that was hard, but I wasn't flying helicopters in Vietnam.
Wow.
Where the whole world is getting drafted, my dad signs up.
Yeah. But I also feel like one of the stories that we can share with our children while they're going through trials and tribulation, that a lot of people, Dry Creek Ranch specifically, and this whole area of the Treasure Valley, we made a really tough decision to leave the life we've always known and say that this is for the betterment of my family, my children, my life. I don't know for certain. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I could lose my new job in a week, but I'm going to take an opportunity and I'm going to take a chance. And we are embracing them with love and kindness of, you can take a chance on you and you're going to be okay, because look at the chance I took. And it takes courage and bravery. And yes, that seems, nulled down when you hear about someone jumping out of like a paratrooper or your dad flying planes. But in our reality, that is bravery. That is, or standing up against the bully that you're going through and sharing with your kids, this is really tough, but I held myself, I held my composure and my dignity, and I stood up for myself. And this is how it is. This is how I am. This is what you do when you're facing tough choices. So,
yeah. And you can't gauge people very oftentimes downplay their emotions with things because they're like, well, I'm not dead. It's like, okay, but that can't be your standard. Like it
didn't kill me.
I have a really good friend who's like, he was having troubles with his job and, like all of these, he was having real struggles with his house and his job. And he's like, oh, whatever, champagne problems. I'm like, I don't think those are champagne problems. Like, you're worried about your meaningful ability to continue providing for your family. Like, that's a pretty fundamental problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My really cool thing, my dad was actually able to, when my kids were younger, he came to visit us once, and he's a big storyteller, right? Like I'm pretty verbose. He's pretty verbose. He's more so, right? He's like Mike the Long-Winded. He's great. If you ever meet him, it's going to be like an hour conversation. But the point is easy.
Same with our family.
Yeah, right. So he was actually able to tell my kids, his grandsons, about experiences he had in Vietnam, but he was conveying the experiences through a like kid story manner. So he was talking about this bird, Huey, that he would fly on, right? And like how he would like pick up these people. And so he was conveying these really heroic, valuable, what I thought were heroic and valuable stories and sentiments. And my kids were just enthralled. They were like, listening, they ask about the story about Huey and like the bird that my dad flew on and all of these things. And it was such a cool thing. It's like, God, man, that's it. Like, that's it right there. You have people that have gone through some things and they help the future generations understand these difficult times and these heroic endeavors. And
absolutely.
You know, yeah.
It doesn't end today. Our lives are not done until they're done, you know? So you thinking maybe you haven't achieved something worth noting or worth valor, but you don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know what next week holds, next year. They might be something that is a core memory in your kid's life and their brain and the way they run their lives in your future coming. And all it takes is that next right step.
I will tell you one thing that I actually think I did right. And I think no matter where you are in whatever culture you've been in, if you're surrounded by people who are saying, hey, that's blue, and you're looking at that and you're like, that's red. That's not blue. And they're like, no, that's blue. And you're going to say that's blue. And everybody's staring at you. And to have the capacity to be like, that's red. I don't care what you say. Yeah. Like, I'm out. And I feel like a lot of people who moved here, especially over COVID, were like, that's red. And I don't care what you say. And everybody's like, you're insane. You're crazy. You're a terrible person. It's like, that's fine. That's still red. Like, you can say whatever you want about me. And I think there was that real clear distinction of who is going to go along with the blue. Who will, and I didn't even think like red and blue, you know, political style.
I didn't think about that either.
Like the curtain's blue.
I almost said green too, which is funny.
The green part?
Well, the monster
Ralph
behind you is green.
Yeah, right. It's Godzilla.
I know, but I just saw the green behind you.
Yeah, I feel like we did do that. Yeah. Like we were a collection of people who were like, this is not right, and against community sentiment and against family sentiment and obligations and financial things. Like, that's still not blue. That's red, and I'm not putting up with this. Like, that's a really valuable thing.
You have something you can say.
Yeah, but that's not like coming from Ireland and hitting Ellis Island and like...
But not everybody can come from Ireland, Matt.
Well, I certainly can't.
Well, I mean, you don't get a choice in where you come from, Matt. Hey, Mom, by the way, when you birth me, make sure I'm in another country.
You know, via me. Oh my God. Do we have a giveaway this week?
Oh, we do. Okay.
Do we have because this food is fantastic. I've been picking at it. Like, the only thing that's kept me from my face going directly in this bowl of potato salad is the fact that we have to keep recording. What's the giveaway? Because I really want to eat.
Yes. You start eating, I will talk. So this week, as a big thank you to Porterhouse, because this is insane and exceptional. And we want to make sure that our community that's watching this gets to try genuinely how good this food is. The Eagle Chamber is sponsoring a $50 gift card for one of our viewers. So like us.
Yes.
Share, follow, make sure you're following Porterhouse as well as the Ranch and the Eagle Chamber. Yes. And you're entered in to win our $50 gift card. You don't golf.
I don't golf.
But
I got a lot of hate for that reel, by the way.
Oh my gosh, how funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah. The one where I'm like, I don't have time to think about working out while I'm standing around.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, keep going. There's the golf tournament.
We have our golf tournament coming up. We're about 3 weeks out, which super excited. The money goes to fundraise for RARE, which helps families supporting medically fragile children. It helps the Eagle Scholarship Foundation. So we give away money to an Eagle senior who wants to make sure they come back and work in our community and essentially bring this knowledge back. So we want to help fund that process.
That's awesome.
So all of the money goes to those two things. We still have teams available, which is kind of surprising. And if anybody's interested, it's only $550 for a team of 4. You get lunch, you get raffle tickets, you get drink tickets, have a good time.
Have a great. Where is it? What golf course?
Ooh, Eagle Hills.
Nice.
I know. I'm so excited. I love their golf course.
I have been look, to be honest, I have been golfing twice. I'm terrible at it, and I'm not going a third time.
Oh, I'm not good either. No.
And I'm like, okay, this is fun. I just don't have, with 3 boys, I don't have a place for this in my life.
It would be fun to have the Matt and Brandy show in the golf course.
Oh my God.
How fun
When
would
is
that
the
be?
golf tournament?
May 17th.
Can we go around and heckle people?
I mean, is that not what I do the entire time? People are like, why is she driving on the green? We're trying to, what are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm coming. I'm bringing lapel mics.
Fun.
May 17th.
May 17th.
Oh, we'll see you there, people.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Brandy.
Thank you.
MTU Studios is the proud producer for the Ada County Sheriff Podcast, the Idaho Wildlife Federation Podcast, the State Representative Ted Hill Podcast, the Idaho State PTA Podcast, and many more. If you or your organization is thinking about starting a podcast, MTU Studios would love to help. Just check out mtustudios.com.